I'm Dave Aronberg. I'm a state senator running for Attorney General. I think the Attorney General's lawsuit against the federal government on health care reform is frivolous. You'll be hard-pressed to find any lawyer who thinks that there's any shot of success. The motivation for this lawsuit is not policy, it's politics. It's to please his voters, his base voters, in his election for the next office. And I think what sets me apart from others is that I'm not running for Attorney General to be used as a stepping stone for some other office. I will not politicize this office. I am a former Assistant Attorney General who's running for Attorney General because I want to be Attorney General, not because there's some other office that I've got my eye on and I'm using this as a stepping stone like Attorney General McCollum is. The Attorney General needs to be more aggressive against the polluters, and I've already called for a $1 billion fund to be established where you have all three companies involved, or anyone else who's involved, but at least you have BP, Transocean, and Halliburton. They need to contribute to a $1 billion fund. The $25 million fund that's already been offered to Florida is not enough. It's a starting point. It should not be the final settlement. It should not even be anything that should last more than a few weeks. We should be more aggressive and get more money up front instead of waiting for decades of litigation. That's what happened with the Exxon Valdez spill. It was 2 decades of litigation, and Florida's fishermen up in the Panhandle and the economy in that Panhandle can't wait that long. No, Florida is the only state in the country that has an outright ban on gay adoption, and the fact that the Attorney General had to hire this questionable, and I'm using that term as a euphemism because I think the better term is probably quack, of a expert witness to support the ban, a guy who took $120,000 of taxpayer money and then went off to a European vacation after going to a male prostitution website. I just think that it just shows you that Florida needs to join other states and just realize that, you know, if there are unwanted children out there, we should allow them to find loving parents, and that means changing our state's ban on gay adoption. We're the only state that has it, and the state shouldn't be appealing a lower court's ruling that found it unconstitutional. Well, the next Attorney General needs to be focused on public safety and consumer protection, because if the Attorney General's not doing it, who will do it? Unfortunately, in the last few years, we've seen this office politicized, diverted to other things. Well, let's focus on keeping Floridians safe in their own lives. And that means going after the gangs, 1,100 gangs in Florida. It means going after prescription drug abuse. There are now 3 times the number of people who die from prescription drug abuse than legal drug abuse, than illegal drug abuse. It means going after the $3 billion of Medicaid fraud that saps our Medicaid budget and makes Florida the embarrassment of the country, because we now have more Medicaid fraud in one county, Miami-Dade, than every other county in Florida combined. There's more Medicaid fraud in Miami-Dade than in other states. So let's go after these problems. The fact that Florida is ground zero for consumer fraud, I mean, let's take away the welcome mat we have outside our borders for the con artists. I want to focus the AG on public safety and consumer protection and remove politics from the decision making in that office.